Something weird is happening with the markets now because the US stock market, both high caps and low caps, are now pushing to the upside, but Bitcoin and Ethereum and basically the total crypto market remain to lag behind. So that is what we need to discuss within today's update video, because the US stock market and small caps are hitting new weekly all-time high closes. So that is of course very interesting, but why does crypto stay lagging behind here? We will discuss exactly that, but also much more, like all of the most important Bitcoin charts and price data. I will give a big update on my Ethereum trading position. We will discuss the latest news hitting the market here with, of course, yesterday's CPI data, and I will give somewhat of an outlook on Ethereum and the upcoming altcoin season. So from there, guys, make sure to subscribe to the channel and watch like my latest YouTube videos, and then we can dive into the most important content. Because both the US stock market itself, Nasdaq, small cap stocks, all US stocks are basically pushing to the upside, and the total market caps are hitting new weekly close all-time highs. And that is quite insane if you know that Bitcoin and Ethereum are still massively lagging behind. And this is the same like we have been talking about with, for example, gold, which has also been leading over the last few weeks. And now also the US stock market is starting to catch up. And that is why I think Bitcoin and Ethereum could become major catch-up trades here. Because, for example, we do know that Bitcoin usually tends to follow the US stock market. We have quite a big correlation here, and we tend to eventually follow, definitely once we create such a big divergence. And if you look in towards the Ethereum with the IBM correlation, it is an even bigger one, I must say. Ethereum has been perfectly following the Russell 2000 basically, to both the downside, upside, back up, down, and then up once again. But now IBM, so the Russell 2000, is catching back to the top side, and we do know that Ethereum does tend to catch up. The only tricky thing is that indeed we are now in the ending stage of the cycle, so maybe it is going to be different, but I think there is still one final Bitcoin push in the tank, and I will explain that exactly why later in this update video. And that is why I think now the US stock market pushing higher is going to be a bullish signal for Bitcoin. So in my opinion, the outlook we currently have here on global markets is still looking quite good. And if we zoom in a little bit on Bitcoin, where it's trading now at somewhat of the short term, it is still at and slightly above this major support zone, where we have seen rejections but also major bouncers from in the past. So this is indeed a very important level for Bitcoin once again. Like I stated in earlier videos, we have been retesting this level quite a few times now. So eventually, if Bitcoin is just going to stay weak and keep retesting, I think the more times you're going to knock on the door of this support level, eventually the chances are going to get higher that you're going to break below it. But for now, we are still trading above it, and that is looking quite good. Bitcoin is still in this major resistance zone where we have been getting rejected from a few times in the past. So I think this, let's say 112k zone, is going to be an important one to break for Bitcoin. Next up is going to be that 114k level, and then of course your next high to take out if Bitcoin is going to find more momentum to the top side in somewhat of that shorter term. Bitcoin in a compression phase now. Seems like we are just starting to break out here, but you could also see it as still trading at the resistance. If Bitcoin is going to continue to break out to the upside here, it's going to be a bullish one, because we are looking at the symmetrical triangle and bullish continuation pattern. The only thing is that you can also draw it a little bit differently than you're drawing it like this, for example. And then we did not saw the breakout yet for Bitcoin. And since the symmetrical triangle is a typical continuation pattern, and the first move has been to the downside, this could also be breaking back to the downside to continue the momentum in the market here. So let's see about exactly that. And like stated, I'm still open for the scenario of Bitcoin dropping ever so slightly lower before heading higher, but we will discuss that a little bit later. First of all, I do want to discuss Bitcoin versus gold, because we have been talking about the stock market now, and the next asset which is looking very interesting for Bitcoin is gold. We do know that gold is or has been putting in a major local top here. If gold is going to see consolidation or just a dump to the downside, I do think it's going to be bullish for Bitcoin, because in the last cycles we have seen money rotating into Bitcoin after a gold cycle top, and that could happen once again. Only difference is that this happened in earlier cycles during the halving year, and now we are in the post-halving year, which is indeed a bit different, but I still think it could help Bitcoin pushing up ever so slightly higher in the ending stage of the cycle. I do still think it's possible because Bitcoin is still missing this fifth and final wave here, in my opinion. Comparing it with, for example, gold here, like we have discussed a lot of times, it does not make sense for me to Bitcoin to top out. Maybe it will be, but yeah, then Bitcoin won't be making new all-time highs anymore, but I would expect like still a dead cat bounce if indeed the 4-year cycle top is going to hit now. I would expect somewhat of a reaction from Bitcoin still before eventually the cycle will be ending. Back to the Bitcoin versus gold correlation, we do know about this by now because I have been talking a lot about this on the channel. What we are now seeing is that we have the Bitcoin leading phases and of course the gold leading phases. In the phase where Bitcoin is leading, Bitcoin is of course heading higher, and typically gold is consolidating. In the gold leading phases, gold is heading higher, Bitcoin starts consolidating. It's risk on, risk off, risk off, risk on, and that cycle seems to be continuing during this entire bull market. So that is of course very interesting, and like stated, since we have seen somewhat of a local top for gold here, it seems like, and maybe we are going to see some continuing consolidation here, that is going to be a phase where Bitcoin will be catching up, because every single time gold starts consolidating in these Bitcoin leading phases, like I'm drawing out now, gold consolidation, not here we're moving higher, but here we also have some gold consolidation. There you can see that Bitcoin indeed starts to be heading higher. So looks very interesting also with the green weekly candle here and gold moving down. Let's see if it will be playing out once again. It might be too late because we are at the ending stage of the 4-year cycle, but because of the signals I'm seeing with the US stock market, also the lower cap stock market, so somewhat of a risk on signal, and with the gold and Bitcoin correlation, I am cautiously bullish. I think there is still one potential move in the tank for Bitcoin, and if this is going to change, of course, I will keep you guys up to date on the channel here. Gold is also finding a rejection at a major resistance level, like we've also seen a cycle top here in 2011 and also all the way back in 1987. So quite interesting to see that gold is once again topping out from off exactly this level, and this seems to be a typical level where gold could be putting in the cycle top. Maybe not, maybe it will just continue to move higher, let's see, but it is indeed a very interesting level to keep our eyes on. And like I was stating earlier in this update video, I am open for the scenario that Bitcoin drops ever so slightly lower, for example out of this symmetrical triangle, because it is a typical continuation pattern. It depends a little bit on how you're going to draw it, of course, but yes, I think there is still a possibility to do so. And then I think Bitcoin should retest the moving average 50, maybe grab some liquidity below it, and then head higher on the weekly time frame. If not, if Bitcoin is going to break much lower there, yes, that is going to be a moment where I think we are going to enter a bear market, because that is what we have seen also in 2021. But basically during every bull market we've seen this dropping below the 50 daily moving average line on the weekly. Yes, that was indeed the moment where the bear markets did get started, and this bull market we have been bouncing from exactly this level every single time. So it should not be any different, and if it will be, then I think a bull market is getting very close, I must say. And now I do want to discuss some very important news that did hit the market yesterday, and that's of course the CPI data we saw. CPI came in cooler than expected, so that is indeed bullish. Me personally, I was expecting a higher CPI because of some data we saw lately, but it came in cooler than expected, and that is going to be bullish in my opinion. The market is now also pricing in a higher chance of a rate cut in the next, or at the next FOMC meeting in exactly 4 days here, so that's going to be super interesting. And now traders are also pricing in 3 rate cuts in 2025 with a chance of 85%. So that is of course going to be very bullish for risk assets, Bitcoin, Ethereum and altcoins. So let's see about exactly that. Also, the Deutsche Bank now sees the Fed announcing QT at the end of next week, so basically the next FOMC meeting. They are not the only ones, also JP Morgan is expecting this, so we are seeing a lot of big players now coming out with the expectation that the Fed is going to announce the ending of QT, and that is going to be very bullish for Bitcoin, Ethereum and altcoins, just like continuing rate cuts. So this is yet again another signal why I could think that we are going to continue a little bit longer for this cycle. But let's just see what's going to happen at the next FOMC meeting, and then we will get a lot more certainty, I personally think so. And of course, I will be live streaming that event once again, so make sure to also come and watch that, just like we have been live streaming the CPI data yesterday. And now I do want to give a big update on my Ethereum trading position, because we are still in a position, well, up about 30k here, which is of course quite nice, but I'm still looking to add more to my position. But I'm still a little bit cautious because I think bigger opportunities could be coming here with my limit order set to 3.45 and 3.6k level, because like I said, I think this could happen for Bitcoin, liquidity grab here and then eventually head higher, and if so, of course Ethereum is going to drop with it, and then I can open some bigger trades at some lower prices, and of course that is what everybody wants to do. So I will be doing so, and that's why I have my limit orders open here. And yeah, let's see about this. I think this trade is going to perform very well at the ending stage of the cycle. We have been slowly DCing in together on the channel, so that's absolutely amazing. We have been trading together. We did not get liquidated as one of the only channels out there, I think, on this major liquidation wicks. So that just shows you how powerful a DCA actually is, with also opening a leverage position. We are also trading low leverage, so yes, of course, it is harder to get liquidated that way. If you want to join me with this trade, make sure to come over to the description on this update video, because there you can find the link to LBANK, where I'm personally trading on, and there you can claim a 20% deposit bonus and some other benefits. So make sure to come and check it out if you do want to claim a nice bonus and also open, for example, an Ethereum trade or trade a lot of other different altcoin pairs on LBANK here. Make sure to come and check it out. You can find the link in the description on this update video. No way financial advice, but most definitely if you're getting interested in that, make sure to check it out. Also, you can come over to my X, same link in the description, and there you can join this 1k trading bonus giveaway if you're getting interested in that over on my X. And now I do want to shortly discuss Ethereum. I do personally think that now Bitcoin is a little bit more important, because that is going to be our leading asset here in the ending stage, because I do want to see a final wave for Bitcoin. Otherwise, I think Ethereum is also going to miss the strength to eventually head up higher, but let's see about exactly that. For Ethereum, we are exactly seeing the same like we're seeing with Bitcoin, basically. Also in compression, you can draw it in a few different ways. I think the compression for ETH is indeed looking a little bit more bullish than Bitcoin. So I could also be open for the scenario that maybe Ethereum is eventually just going to take the lead in the cycle, because that is also something we saw in 2021, 2017. There is also a moment where Bitcoin puts in the top, starts consolidating, and more money will flow into Ethereum. But let's see about exactly that. For now, we can conclude that this compression does look more bullish for Ethereum than for Bitcoin, in my opinion. For Bitcoin, it does look slightly more bearish, I must honestly say so. Here also for Ethereum at the bull market support band, once again another bounce, but this must be the moment where Ethereum will see some upwards movement, because I don't think we should be retesting this bull market support band much more times, because then we're probably going to be heading lower. Because like stated also with Bitcoin here, at this important support level, the more times you're going to knock on the door, the higher the chance it is going to break. So let's see about that. But last time we did saw a bounce from off that bull market support band, we saw like a massive bounce. So if history could be repeating here, it is indeed going to be very bullish for Ethereum. I'm still targeting the 1.6.8 and the second Fibonacci level for my Ethereum trading positions. So yes, basically the 5.3 and 6.4k targets. I do think those are still possible for ETH, and let's see about exactly that. I'm of course very excited. I think those levels are going to be very important resistance levels, because all of these Fibonacci levels have been corresponding with major support or resistance in the markets, and yeah, it is not going to be much different this time, I personally think. Let's see about exactly that, and these are the targets I'm also targeting, of course, with my Ethereum trading position, and I will be scaling out at and in between those targets. And guys, that was it for today's update video. I hope you guys enjoyed today's update video, and I will see you guys within my next update video tomorrow.